Hi, my name is Laurie and I created a video to share my findings from a research paper I wrote for my summer class I am taking at Eastern Illinois University. The topic I researched is media technology and the effects it has on our youth society. Basically, I wanted to find out more about whether media technology has a negative impact on our youth society. I began this research by reading through several articles and studies that have been conducted on this topic. Today, technology is at the tip of our fingers, as we all know, allowing more and more people to access the internet, music, television shows, and initiate conversations with friends. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, youths from the ages 8 to 18 spend an average of 7 hours and 38 minutes using some type of entertainment media throughout a typical day. Since these youths are able to multitask, they are able to cram a total of 10 hours and 45 minutes worth of media content into a typical day. Over the past 5 years, youths who have their own cell phone has increased from 39% to 66%, and youths who have their own iPods or other MP3 players has increased from 18% to 76%. These two devices have become their main outlet for media consumption because of the simplicity that comes with taking them wherever they go. It was found that youths now spend more time listening to music, watching television shows, and playing games on these devices than they actually talk on them. About 64% of youths say that their television is on during mealtime, and 45% say their television is left on for a majority of the day when people are home. This allows for more media consumption that is getting packed into the brains of our youths. The president and CEO of the Kaiser Family Foundation, Drew Altman, PhD, said, "The amount of time young people spend with media has grown to where it's even more than a full-time work week. When children are spending this much time doing anything, we need to understand how it's affecting them for good and bad." This is an important topic, I think, to study due to the health problems children are acquiring so early in life. As a part of these health complications due to the amount of media that is consumed in a typical day. Not just literacy media, but the technology aspect that media brings to our lives. We have all heard about obesity rates being linked to watching television. However, have you ever thought about whether it is the non-physical element of the task or if it is what is being watched that also plays a part in the obesity rates of our nation? That is definitely something I never thought about. According to Leslie Anderson and Jim Anderson in the article Barney and Breakfast, Messages About Food and Eating in Preschool Television Shows and How They Impact the Development of Eating Behaviors in Children, they say that children begin consuming media content at the age of 9 months. Researchers have focused their attention due to the advertisements aired during these children programs that may be affecting the way children view the food they eat. Media is affecting our youth society in a variety of ways, including their body image, health, and behavior. Body image is an ongoing topic around media technologies because there are children who are overweight from having no physical activity incorporated into their day. And there are also children who begin to have their first eating disorder at such a young age because their favorite role model is skinny and therefore they think or consider them to be pretty. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there are over a third of children and adolescents who are overweight or obese. In a sample of children ranging from 5 years old to 17 years old, 70% of our obese youth population has had at least one risk factor for cardiovascular disease. When children become obese, it is a struggling time for them to lose weight when entering adulthood. Long-term health effects of obese youth include heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, cancer, and osteoarthritis. According to Anderson and Anderson, several researchers have linked obesity in children with television viewing, and television has been acknowledged as a contributor to the development of eating behaviors in children. Several studies, as shown in the article, have found that advertisements targeting children feature many sugary and fat foods and snacks. A study was conducted in 2001 that showed the relationship by having 46 children from the ages of 2 to 6 participate by watching a top-rated children's television show. One group watched commercials that were embedded into the program, while there was a control group who did not see any commercials at all. The children who saw commercials preferred the advertised brands of foods that were shown when given a choice between the advertised brand and another brand of the same food choice. In a different study, it was found that children who watched food advertisements consumed more calories and fewer nutrients. These studies, along with others, suggest that advertisements during television programs negatively affect children, even with minimal exposure to the messages. Then there is the other side of the spectrum when young children are developing eating disorders such as anorexia and bulimia in order to be as thin as their favorite celebrity role model. It is affecting young children because of the pictures the media provides. Even children who cannot yet read can still be affected by seeing their favorite actress on the cover of a magazine looking thinner than ever before. Of course, children do not understand the editing that occurs before media messages. However, what they see is what negatively affects their own body image. Again, according to Leslie Anderson and Jim Anderson, studies have been conducted to suggest that television viewing plays a role in our youth society by influencing them to alter their eating habits. A study was done in Fiji less than a month after television was introduced there in 1995 to see the correlation between watching television and the desire of wanting to be thinner and possibly taking actions in order to be thinner. A second evaluation was done in 1998 to see the comparisons and differences in the views of the children who watched television programs. It was found that dieting behaviors, the desire to lose weight, and body dissatisfaction were all dramatically higher in 1998 than those who had watched television for only a month. Therefore, this shows the effects that television viewing had on these children. This is in the same regard to young children who still view shows that have non-human characters or animals acting out make-believe storylines. Children imitate their role models, as we all know, so when teenage girls may alter their eating habits to slim down like their favorite actress, a child may want to eat what they see their favorite animal character on television eating. Therefore, if the animal character eats cake and drinks soda, a child may want to eat cake and drink soda as well. This shows the direct effect that television viewing has on our society. Media has affected the health of our youth society for many years. Just like teenage girls are altering their eating habits to be skinny like their role model, other teens are smoking just like their favorite actor or actress in movies. This was a study that actually really surprised me. There was a direct correlation between youths who cannot read media messages and smoking. So if these youths cannot read, would they still be likely to smoke if they received the same media messages through the technology of television media? We all see billboards containing media messages and watch commercials, but if nothing is vocalized and everything is written in words, how can children understand the message and therefore be affected by it? To them, it would be like nothing happened because nothing was said aloud and they cannot read the words the message is trying to convey. Just like smoking, it has been found that teenage pregnancy has been linked to seeing sex on television. What these television shows fail to provide is the responsibility and life-changing experience that comes with having a baby. Media technology can also affect a child's behavior. It has often been found that the effect on children of media violence is greatest when a child enjoys watching violence in the media, when he or she identifies with the violent main character, or when he or she assumes that the fictitious violence is real. That was according to Dumitru from an article he wrote in 2010. Not only do dramatic television shows, movies, news, and music videos affect children when watching and listening to aggression-filled segments of violence, but children are also affected when interacting with the media violence. The media violence from playing video games and browsing the World Wide Web. A study was done on each area determining whether watching, listening, or interacting with media violence had a direct relationship with children becoming aggressive. It was found that, according to Anderson in 2003, it was found that youths who watch violent scenes subsequently display more aggressive behavior, aggressive thoughts, or aggressive emotions than those who do not. A study was conducted in Finland in 1985 to determine the effects on children who watched violent films compared to the effects on children who watched non-violent films. Two raters who did not know which children saw which children saw which type of film was put into a room with the children to observe their actions. The children who watched the violent film were rated much higher on physical assault, such as hitting other children and wrestling. The effects television news has on the behavior of a child has also been studied. According to Anderson, again, in the article he wrote in 2003, stories of a well-known person's suicide increase the likelihood that other people will also take their own lives. I don't think that much research has been developed on this topic, but it was an interesting topic. Although some of the research of criminal violence has been questioned, there are studies that show the increase in violent crimes after multiple cases of violent news has been aired. Although the exposure of video games has not been studied as much as movie or television violence, it is still a top concern of media technology use. Several studies have been conducted to determine the aggressive behavior that children display after playing violent and non-violent video games. It was found that youth's aggressive behavior increased significantly after playing a violent video game. According to Anderson in 2003, to date there are no published studies that address how exposure to web-based media violence affects aggressive and violent behavior, attitudes, beliefs, and emotions. However, because of the visual and interactive nature of web material, we expect the effects to be very similar to those of other visual and interactive media. From the studies that have been conducted The research indicates that exposure to media violence heightens the chances that a youth will behave aggressively and have aggressive thoughts in the short run. After researching this topic about the effects media technology has on our youth society, I believe that these studies clearly demonstrate that media technology does negatively affect our youth society. I was surprised in some areas of research, whereas I felt like I could put the puzzle pieces together myself in other areas. Watching television for a lengthy period of time has been linked to obesity rates since I can remember. However, I had never thought about the media side of watching television, especially for our youth society. By this I mean when the media tries to convey a message to the young population. This makes me think completely differently now about using DVR to record a children's show previous to watching it, in order to skip over the commercials and therefore negative advertisements that are being aired during those shows. I found it interesting that the advertisements shown in commercials between children's television shows impact children in such negative ways. It makes complete sense to me, though. When children see toys advertised on television, they seem to immediately look back at their parents or shout out that they want that toy because it is marketed like it is the best toy in the world. The effects celebrities have on the youth population are abundant. Previously I discussed that children under the age of 2 mostly imitate what older ones around them do and say. I have found through researching this topic that the same thing accounts for older children as well. It does not surprise me that teenage girls, especially teenage girls, alter their eating habits, but it does surprise me that teen smoking rates have a direct relationship with the amount of smoking that occurs in movies. That is just something I never thought about. So, the research above, the research I discussed earlier has clearly identified